Welcome to Bella Vista Gardening Program. I'm Geri Hoerner, and with me today is Barb Templin.
Good morning.
And Barb is a fellow member of the Bella Vista Garden Club. And today we're going to be talking about houseplant benefits, care, and safety. So you can't
It's going to be kind of like a biology class in the beginning.
a little bit. But you know, you can't really do anything outside too much in December. So your houseplants need a little attention. So
right.
I'll also be talking about a few things you need to do in your garden this month. So the main thing is your houseplants, you brought in tropicals and whatever, and there's a lot of benefits to have houseplants in your house. When you breathe, your body takes in oxygen and releases carbon dioxide, and then during that photosynthesis, the plants absorb the dioxide, and release oxygen. So they're helping you, breathe in your home.
It's kind of the yin and yang.
Right. So adding plants to your interior space really does improve your air quality in your house. And then at night, the photosynthesis ceases, and the plants typically, they're like humans. They absorb the oxygen and release carbon dioxide. So. But there's a few plants like the orchids and succulents, and they just release oxygen. So those plants would be good for your bedroom if you have a bedroom that'll be releasing oxygen all night. So there's a lot of good benefits to plants.
Correct.
And they also release water too.
That's right, and that's the other part of this photosynthesis process is that, believe it or not, plants breathe, and as they breathe and as we breathe, we release humidity into the air and moisture, vapor. So having plants around in your house, it really gives you an increase in humidity. And during the winter time, let's face it, it gets really dry in your house. And it's recommended that for the most part people get a humidifier, even if it's not specifically for them. If you have specialty plants that you want to take care of, then you need to.
We usually have a humidifier running in our house in the winter because it does get so dry, and you're walking around and you get shocks, when you're talking, touch things. So.
And you'll find out that you don't have as many sore throats, and that's the thing that the dryness does is
it dries up your sinuses.
That's right. Yeah. That's right, in your throat, and you end up starting coughing and. You feel like your, head's going to implode.
Yeah.
So.
But it also purifies the air too.
Right.
So plants remove toxins from the air. And
I think that's amazing. Don't you think that's amazing?
It's like formaldehyde, and this is in rugs and vinyl. If you replace your carpeting and that odor you smell, well, a lot of that is toxins. So the plants do remove the toxins from the air, and. Even like grocery bags, and of course cigarette smoke too.
The amazing thing about plants is they absorb 87% of those toxins.
Right.
In a given space.
Right.
So it really is important to have that.
And then if you have, your house is climate controlled and you've sealed everything up, to save energy, then it makes it even worse.
Right.
So. But there are a lot of tests. NASA has done tests about, toxins and purifying air and so forth. I guess when they send people up in space, maybe they have a plant in the spaceship. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but it does improve your health too.
Yes, it does.
There's a lot of studies about.
Kansas State University did a study on plants in the healthcare setting, and they found out that. Surgical patients seem to heal faster, less complications, their heart rates are lower, their respiratory rate is better.
And sometimes they don't need as much pain medication.
Right, they're less tired,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. I just can't see, you know, a big fig tree in a surgical suite,
No,
however.
no, I can't see that.
But when people bring, you know, plants for loved one, it's really better to bring a plant to visit somebody
Than
in the
flowers.
hospital than flowers, exactly. Because it will help the patient eventually heal up a bit faster. So,
And it's, I don't know, it just sharpens your focus too. There was a study by the Royal College of Horticulture in England. They found that 70% greater attentiveness and sharpness when there
boy,
was
do
were
I need
plants
that.
around, and we
Maybe
all
we
need
ought
that.
to bring these a little closer.
We all need that. So, but you know, the best thing to remember is with your success with house plants is to match the right plant with the right condition, and
Yes.
you know, whether it's light or you know,
Right.
maybe a draft from a vent or something. So, you know,
So
just
know your plant.
know your plant and where it needs to be.
That's right. That's
So
right.
there's a lot of plants that they have listed for the best plants to purify. Now the spider plant is number one. I think the spider plant, we didn't bring a spider plant with us, but the spider plants are those plants that just kind of drape over the pot and then they send out babies at the bottom.
They're mostly a hanging.
Like a hanging
Bags.
plant. You see a lot of those in offices, and it's great because they really are one of the best plants to purify the air and
help
it removes
sharp
from
focus, you know, and
right.
businesses.
Then there's a dragon tree, the corn plant, the Dracaena, and that is another one that purifies the air, and you've seen a lot of those. The English ivy is one too. It removes benzene from the air, and it's good for dorm rooms.
Yeah.
You know, in living spaces where there's where it's dry. And the Boston fern. Now, see, the Boston fern needs a little bit more moisture, so it's probably it humidifies the air, but they need moisture and they give off moisture. So the Boston
And with the
fern.
Boston fern, you'll probably get a little more exercise too, because you know they're a little messy. You got to
and
keep
vacuuming
them up. That's right.
up the leaves
That's
that fall
right.
in the winter.
That's right.
But if you missed them every day, they'll be giving you benefits right back again. And the philodendron, that's another easy to grow plant. It's a low light plant. The pothos is another one that looks like a philodendron. They have a little heart shaped leaf, and you see them everywhere. They're so easy to
You
grow.
don't even have to have a light. I mean, a window.
No,
I mean,
no.
they will grow anywhere.
They're just
you know.
And you can hardly kill
That's
them.
that's the kind of plant I have to have.
Yeah.
The kind that you can hardly kill.
That's right. And the Chinese evergreen and weeping fig. So those are all plants that are they purify the air and take out formaldehyde.
That's the amazing thing.
Yeah.
Taking out the formaldehyde
Yeah.
in the air.
Yeah, and we don't
I
realize
never
how
even
much
thought about that as far as plants are concerned. 'Cause
how
when-
much pollution is in our air inside the house.
That's right.
With all of those chemicals we have and all those things we bring in.
That's right.
The
That's right.
carpeting and vinyl and grocery bags and whatever.
Right.
And then the other one, the snake plant or mother-in-law tongue, that's a Sansevieria. Now that's another one that's just hard to kill.
Yeah.
And it's usually a long
Spiky
leaf. Now this one here is the Sansevieria family, and it's a little different variety, but it is also a Sansevieria. So there's various kinds of Sansevieria.
Does it stay small like this?
Yes, that's the largest it'll get. It'll send out babies, and you'll maybe end up with 3 or 4 in the pot. But this was actually from my mother. I got that from my mother.
Is this the one from your mom?
Well, she died about 20 years ago, but so this plant's still going 20 years later, even as.
Is this the one that won the award?
No, that's a baby of it. But
okay.
Once they get babies, I move them into another pot or I give them away or whatever. But it's a Sansevieria, and it will do the same thing as those tall, spiky ones. So it's a good plant, and a little plant like that you can put anywhere.
Right.
You don't have to have a great big plant, to get the benefits.
What kind of light does that?
It gets very low light.
Oh,
very
okay.
low light. I have it in the
That's good.
kitchen on a shelf, and it's not near a window, so they're
Good.
great to grow.
Good.
And But like I said, there's a lot of sansevierias to choose from, and I think they all do the same. The peace lily is another one you see a lot of. It's got the green leaves, and then it sends up a white bloom that looks like a little cup, and that's another one that it removes mold from the air. Now, you know, our house does have mold, especially bathrooms, so if you have it, you know, near a bathroom or damp spaces in your home, like a lower level, you know, that gets damp, you know, a peace lily would be great for that space. So, but there's a lot of plants that are, you know, beneficial. I'm sure there's, if you just Google something, you'll find websites that list plants and actual maybe varieties that, you know, do certain things. So,
well, one of the varieties is the aloe vera plant.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that every single house should have an aloe vera in it.
Absolutely.
Because Geri and I were just talking beforehand, and any of you that cook, I mean, I can hardly stick my hand in an oven without burning myself. And you just take a snip from...
Take a little piece of it off of the, where are we here? You just snip a little, you know, piece off at the base, and the inside is like a gel.
Right.
Well, at Thanksgiving this year, I had my little casserole in the oven, and then I thought, well, maybe I better make sure it's really hot, so I picked it up and to put it in the microwave. Well,
it was still
hot.
I
forgot that it was in the oven. And so I immediately ran in, got my aloe vera, and put it on my fingers, and I couldn't, you can't even tell. But I mean, otherwise, I think I would have had blisters. But that aloe vera saved me.
Well, what it has is it has antibacterial properties in that gel, and an antioxidant.
Yeah.
And both of those our systems need every day. It also accelerates the healing process for burns. Sunburn is probably the one that most people use it for.
Well, you see a lot of lotions with aloe vera, you know.
Right. There are a lot of facial products now that contain aloe vera because it's so beneficial to skin and keeping skin moist. They have made there's aloe vera juice, believe it or not, and you can use it as an alternative to mouthwash. You can use it as medicine because it helps prevent the spread of breast cancer.
I haven't heard
and
that.
Yep, they're finding uses for it in that field. Heartburn, if you take 1 to 3 ounces each mealtime, then your heartburn will go away.
We could quit taking all that medication.
Right. And it keeps fruit fresh, and you can use it as an alternative to mouthwash. You know, I'm like, what does it come in mint? You know, I don't know what it tastes like. I'm not thinking so.
I haven't tasted it.
The one thing it did say is that you have to use it rather sparingly if you're using it for a laxative, because it can really become kind of a problem if you don't do that. But
everything in moderation, I
exactly,
guess.
Exactly.
So.
One of the other plants that's very popular this time of the year is the poinsettia. And I just want to make sure that everybody knows that December 12th is National Poinsettia Day.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well.
See, learn something new every day.
So you have to have a poinsettia on that date?
Yes.
Okay.
They originated in Mexico. It's actually their national plant. And we always think of the red part of the poinsettia as the flower, but it's actually just the little yellow
center
seeds that's the actual flower. The red part is the leaves. And because they're native of Mexico, they grow up to 12 feet tall.
Oh yeah, and even in Florida.
Oh, do they?
They'll grow like that. In Florida, up the sides of houses, you see them, you know, like a shrub.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And if you do buy them, you want to make sure that little center yellow part looks fresh and not, you know, brown, because that's really the flower.
Right.
The red petal, the red leaves will stay red for a long time. But, you know, make sure they look fresh when you buy them.
Well, in the United States alone, there's 34 million of them sold annually.
I believe it. It's
because
just about everybody buys one for Christmas.
If you, and usually more than one, because you're decorating.
Yeah.
That's part of the Christmas decorating
Right.
theme. You know, from year to year,
Right.
it goes on and on.
But they don't like to be overwatered.
No, no.
And they don't like to sit in water.
Right,
So,
right.
You have to remember when you water them to let it drain through, and then don't water them again until it's a little dry to the touch.
That's right, that's right.
So,
The other popular plant this time of the year is this Christmas cactus here. I'm seriously doubting, by the look of it right now, that I will be getting any buds on it to bloom by Christmas. They're also known as the Easter cactus
yeah,
and
Thanksgiving
the
cactus. Just depends when they
cactus.
bloom. That's what you call them.
Exactly,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I
to
don't
make
see
it
any buds yet.
no, they say that to make it flower, 6 weeks or so before you want to make it flower, you start restricting both the water and the light. You keep it in the dark between 14 and 18 hours a day.
It's like a poinsettia then.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. And then it'll start to, once it starts to flower, then you can kind of bring it back out. And the flowers will last for several weeks.
Oh yeah, they'll last quite a while.
And the
Christmas
thing
cactus.
about Christmas cactuses is that I've known people that have had them for 30 years.
Oh yeah, they're long-lived plants.
They're huge, but they're very long-lived plants.
And they're easy to propagate too.
right,
You know,
right.
so. But that's what really kills plants most of the time is the overwatering.
Right.
You know, very seldom do you kill a plant by not watering it, but that can happen too. But it's usually overwatering, and then the roots just rot because, you know, they just can't, they don't have any oxygen anymore. It's just too much watering.
Right.
So,
And the best way to find out if your plant is in need of water is to actually stick your finger into the plant, you know, up to your first knuckle. If it feels dry, water it. If it feels still
Moist,
damp,
yeah.
leave it alone.
and I'm still a proponent of the water tester, the moisture meter, excuse me, where you know, I just test it with the moisture meter, and you can tell, you know, from that probe how dry it is at what point. So I think everyone should have a moisture meter.
Where do they get those?
Oh, you can get them at the box stores or any of the
Oh,
nurseries. I mean,
okay.
they're
Okay.
they're very reasonable. So
The other thing that I didn't quite realize in plants, because I'm trying to train my plants to get themselves up and take themselves to the sink and water themselves, and so far I've had no luck.
no, they don't do that.
No, but it's really important water temperature-wise. You need to water at room temperature because if the water's too warm, you can kill a plant, and if the water is too cold, you can kill
they
a
don't
plant.
like- yeah.
So what you do is, I mean, either way, you're kind of, if you don't water it enough, if you water it too much, you kill the plant. So you've got to know your plant. So what I do is, I have a gallon jug, and I always have one filled up, so I always have it at room temperature. And then I'll use that up, finish up my watering, and then fill it back up and set it aside so that I've
Well,
got...
setting it aside too also helps get the chlorine out of it.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, if you let the water sit out for a day, that chlorine dissipates. They don't like chlorine either.
No, they don't like
So
chlorine.
that's really
and
best
they
to
don't
water
like,
your plants
Yeah, they
with-
don't like the salt
Yeah.
that sometimes is in it. And
But if you leave it the water sit out, it does, the chlorine does dissipate, so that
Right.
does help too.
right,
And then fertilizing, you really don't want to fertilize your indoor plants, your house plants at this time of the year. It's, you know, might hold off till spring. And the exception would be your orchids and violets. They do like a
yeah.
fertilizer.
And what about orchids?
Orchids, I'm told, I have two, and they suggest you do like half fertilizer. It's like water weekly with weekly fertilizer.
Oh,
So when you water them, you just have a very weak fertilizer that you use on them. And violets, I would think the violets would be similar to that. I do use
and it's
some-
the 10-10-10 fertilizer that
well,
you're...
you'd maybe want the middle number to be a little higher because
Okay.
you're trying to propagate and you're trying to get blooms.
Okay,
So if your middle number of your fertilizer, and on the package it shows numbers, those three numbers. and the middle number promotes bloom, so you may want that number a little higher. But they have fertilizer just for orchids.
Oh, okay.
And for violets, just recommended for those.
Flowering plants need higher potassium, and foliage plants need higher nitrogen.
Yeah, the nitrogen's the first number, and the potassium's the second.
Okay.
So
Okay.
your greening plants would be better with a high number, the first number, with more nitrogen. So.
And believe it or not, we think of pruning our plants just to the outside plants, but there are a lot of indoor plants that you have to keep pruned, trimmed, first of all, in order to fit the space that they were originally designed for, but second of all, is to keep them healthy. They can get real spindly, and if you keep them trimmed back, then most of their energy is used to put the energy into the growing
root
part.
system. Yeah.
Right, right. So everything is a lot greener and that sort of thing. But the other part of all of this, watering and light and all of this, is you have to know your plant. You have to know what kind of plant you're dealing with. And here again, like you had said, you can, you don't know what kind of plant you have, you can Google that.
Yeah, just Google the plant, tell you how to take care of it.
And if you don't even know the name of the plant, you can Google it by description, and there'll be certain pictures that will come
find
up,
it.
and that's how you would find it.
Yeah.
The other thing about plants is you don't want to move them around your house. They acclimate to certain areas, and it takes them a long time to do that. And so once they are acclimated to that certain
And they like it there.
And they like it there. It's a good spot. It's the right light. It's the right amount of humidity. It's the right, they like that. And they have a hard time adjusting to change.
If you have a weeping fig and you move it, you're going to live up. The leaves will just fall off, no matter what you do. The leaves will fall
I don't
off.
think there's anybody that particularly cares for change, but
they don't like it.
Plants especially don't like change.
And the other thing you have to think about when you do have plants and you have pets,
yes,
it's really important to think about those pets, especially cats will get into plants.
Yes.
And some of them are very dangerous.
I have 3 cats, and so I keep my aloe out of the way because you don't want to have them do that.
Yeah.
And poinsettias, it's not, if they just take a bite, it's okay, but if they ingest a lot, it can be toxic.
There's quite a few plants that are really toxic to cats and dogs, and so like baby's breath and cladiums, daffodils, Easter lily, weeping fig, hyacinth. There's a ASPCA website. It's aspca.org, and it lists all the toxic plants you need to avoid.
Yeah.
And we added that to the Bella Vista Garden Club website under links of interest for the gardening information. So you can find that on our website too. So that's the other thing you have to think about is the safety of the plant. With children or pets, be sure that you've got them out of the way where they're not going to cause a problem for the pets or children.
Right,
So.
right.
And then I guess we need to talk about what we need to do in our garden for the month of December. There's not a whole lot to do. We've had such a dry fall.
Yes. Are you still watering?
Well, I'm dragging the hoses out once in a while because we turned off our water system, and it's just so dry. We're 14 inches down for the year in water. And if you just planted shrubs and trees in the fall or late, summer, those plants need water. You're going to have to get out there.
What about the bulbs that you plant in the fall?
Well, if you planted them in the fall and you've watered them pretty well, I think they'll be okay. You might, think about just giving a little supplemental water until the snows come or we get some more moisture.
Right.
But the bulbs, you can still plant those in December, and I've already planted bulbs in January if the weather's mild.
Well,
they need 6 weeks of cold.
Right.
So
and we
January
haven't had that kind of cold. I think the forecast is calling for a little bit colder weather.
Yeah.
So,
but it's been a very mild fall.
Yeah,
and winter.
We've been promoting the Bella Vista daffodil through our garden club, and so
I
if you,
still have some to plant.
I do too.
Yes.
I do too, because
So.
it just hasn't gotten cold enough. You know,
Yeah.
it was the old adage was, you know, sometime after Halloween. Well, you know,
Yeah.
we were still having 80 degrees.
Right. It
You know, and
was really
it's
warm.
not the
Yeah.
the thing to do. But
So.
now is the time to start taking care of your lawns too.
Yeah.
If you have a leaf blower, great. If you need to, at any rate, you need to get the leaves off,
Oh,
because
yeah,
they
'cause
will they will mold.
It'll kill your grass.
And kill
Yeah,
and kill your
well,
grass
yeah.
is right.
And then with your roses, if we've had maybe one freeze so far, it's early December. Early December. We've had one freeze. So after it freezes, then you want to put some mulch on to keep that temperature level. And
Okay.
they'll be ready to go until maybe March when you trim them in the spring.
Okay.
So, and then the trees and shrubs, like I said, if you just planted trees and shrubs, you really have to monitor the water and keep them watered over the winter.
Right.
So,
Perennials, I think the big thing right now is, do I cut them back? Do I don't cut them back? Well, yes and no. Your ornamental grasses, leave them. Now is the time that you have those beautiful blooms, you know, that
they just sway in the breeze.
yes,
They're so pretty.
and they're delightful to look at all
winter.
all winter long. But your mums and your dried up plants, you need to snip those back.
If you want to. Sometimes, we leave them just for the birds to maybe get some seeds, but
Right.
you can't cut them, except the salvia. You don't want to cut your salvia.
Right. Those
learned that the hard
hollow-stemmed,
way.
those hollow-stemmed plants.
Yeah.
That's how they get moisture into their.
And then it freezes.
That's right.
So,
That's
but
right.
anything you trim, if it's a hollow stem, just don't trim it.
Right.
Because that can kill it.
Right. Right.
So with the cold weather. And then don't forget to feed the birds. The birds need food over the winter.
How entertaining are
And they're
the
just
birds,
so
though?
fany to watch.
Oh my
gosh.
goodness sakes!
They would do for
And there was a
hours.
story about, cardinals, represent an angel. And last year, I think we counted something like 13 or 14
Oh
cardinals.
yeah, we have a
at our-
lot of cardinals here.
It was just, it's
And we
just
even saw some
beautiful.
bluebirds, and I think they went into the bluebird house this week.
Wow.
Just maybe for shelter, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we were surprised to see the bluebirds, because usually you just see them in the trees and on the suet, but we
Right.
did see them come
And
out
that's
of
the
a bluebird.
important thing. It's not just seed, it's suet.
The
that
suet,
isn't
the
put-
fat in the suet really helps them in the winter when it's really cold.
Right,
So,
right.
but there's a lot of things you can do for the winter as you look out the window at the snow and the birds and all that, but can't do too much in the garden. So
Well, lately, it's just trying to get the leaves away
That's
from
the-
my front door.
that's the thing,
Because it has a
fighting the leaves.
It has a tendency to blow.
Up to our elbows. In
Yes,
leaves, so.
yes.
It was a good summer for the trees.
Yes, it was.
They're
Yes, it
paying us
was.
back now.
Yes.
So if you have any other gardening questions, there's a lot of information on the Bella Vista Garden Club website. It's just bellavistagardenclub.com, and then also on the Master Gardener website. That's bentoncountygardening.org. There's a lot of information. And the next meeting of the Bella Vista Garden Club will be January 25th, 11 o'clock at the United Lutheran Church.
Y'all
And
come down.
And guests are always welcome.
Yes.
We serve a light lunch, and our program is going to be Growing Native Plants by Stacy Elkins, and she's from Birdsong Gardens.
Oh, okay.
So she's going to be doing the program. And also, we're going to have Northwest Arkansas Experienced Gardeners Tips. So that's going to be our horticulture segment. So just, see if you can make it in January, just come and join us. And like I said, we love to have guests.
Yeah, we have a lunch and great programs, and you'll meet some wonderful people
Oh, yeah.
that become lifelong friends. So,
Right. It's a great organization.
It is, it is. And the one thing that's really nice about the Bella Vista Garden Club is that we're growing, we're expanding, we're, and that's just the sign of a great group of people
Right.
getting together
And
with
we've got
common
so many new
interest.
people moving into the area and wanting to know what to do, when they come from Minnesota or something, and what do I do with all these rocks? So
Yes.
it's a good
How
learning.
do I dig a hole here?
Right. So, Well, thanks, Barb, for joining me today. I
Well,
learned
thanks
a
for
lot
having
about
me.
houseplants and how to take care of them. And we hope you have a wonderful Christmas, a Merry
Yes.
Christmas, and a Happy New Year, and a wonderful holiday season with friends and family, of course. And I hope you like the show. And then next month, join us again. We'll be starting a new year. And until then, don't forget to stop and smell the roses.